Hello and welcome back to my Jumpers to Follow mini-series on the Final Flight podcast channel, and I am welcoming tonight my good friend Rich. He's going to join me for this episode 7. We're going to go through some of the graded hurdlers to look forward to this season. Welcome, Rich. Are you excited for the jump season? We're almost there, mate. Not long now.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's good. I can't wait. The jumps is here. It's all going to kick off very soon, and we've got some good things in the pipeline, haven't we?
We certainly have, mate. Yeah, we've got loads of content coming up, loads of stuff that we can't wait to get stuck into, loads of horses to follow, and the graded races and the novices and the hurdlers and cheerleaders. There's so much to look forward to, all the big days and all the big race days to come. So we're just super excited, and I'm really glad you've managed to come on tonight. I thought I'd get you involved and finish off this mini series. It's been pretty successful so far. I know plenty of people have enjoyed it, and the comments and the messages I've had saying they really enjoy it. So let's hope we can continue that trend. So just a quick bit of housekeeping. Obviously, we are enjoying doing all this content and getting our opinions out there. So if you do like the channel, make sure you do like and subscribe. We're on our way to 200 subscribers, which is fantastic. So it's much appreciated. My Patreon obviously is doing pretty well as well. That's £5 a month. If you want to join that, the link is in my bio on my Twitter and on the YouTube channel. We had a couple of winners today, which was fantastic. So that's rolling on. Loads of content in there, blogs, tracker horses, that sort of thing. If you love the jumps, it's the place to be, as is the Final Flight podcast. So what we're going to do is, without further ado, we're going to roll straight into a few graded hurdlers to follow. And we've got a decent list of some really good, really big names on here. And we're going to have a little chat about where we think they're going to go and how they performed last year and things like that. So, Rich, without further ado, mate, we're going to kick off with the one and only Constitution Hill. Now, there's only one place to start when we're talking about hurdlers, and it's Constitution Hill. Obviously, the news broke a few weeks back that they were going to stick to hurdles and they weren't going to go chasing. Half of the jumps Twitter space went into meltdown. The other half weren't really bothered and knew it was going to happen anyway, which I think most of us did, to be honest. Nicky come out and clearly said that, he doesn't stay the Gold Cup trip, so why really bother go for it? I kind of get that. What were your thoughts on that decision for him to stick to hurdles?
I thought it was the right one. If he's not going to stay a Gold Cup, then why even bother? I know he could go down the Arkle and Champion Chase, and then potentially, if it turns out he would have stayed, potentially a Gold Cup. But the Champion Hill's no B class sort of race. It's up there. It's probably second. Top 2 maybe at Cheltenham, the races that everybody wants to win. So, why not try and win 2, 3, 4, however many? I mean, he's a young horse. He could go on for years. He jumps hurdles beautifully. He's got speed. At the minute, nothing can keep up with him. So why would you risk it?
No, I mean, I completely agree, to be honest with you. I think when you've got a horse this talented, there's no... there isn't really much difference between winning a champion chase and winning a champion hurdle. Unless you're going to go for a Gold Cup, I didn't really see the point. And clearly that's a decision they've made. And I suppose it's just one of those, when you look through the full season, he's clearly going to go for another fighting fifth and probably be about 1 to 20 on. They're going to go for a Christmas hurdle, international hurdle, them sort of races, Kempton and things like that. And then potentially the Aintree hurdle. I mean, me personally, this is the route they're going to go with. I'd love to see him go over to Ireland for like an Irish champion hurdle and take on them in their own backyard. I think that's the sort of thing I'd like to see him do now. It's going to be low mileage for him. We're talking 4 or 5 races max in a season. And I just think I want to see him tested. And obviously, he's got the likes of State Man who are going to reoppose him. Obviously, Imperial Pass is now going to stay over hurdles, whether they go the champion hurdle route. I know a few people. I put a post on Twitter today, and a lot of people are talking about the stayers and things like that. And I don't know if it's just a bit too classy for the stayers, but is Willie really going to put his 2 best hurdlers in against Constitution Hill? Maybe. We shall see. He'll probably keep them apart as the season goes. You've got the likes of the Morgiana and the Hatton's Grace. They'll probably mop up the grade ones over in Ireland. And then it's just a case of, will they just take a chance against Constitution Hill? And that's all it is, really. It is just a chance. State Man's obviously been there and done it and finished a mile behind him. Imperial Pass, it could potentially be better than State Man, but 2 mile. I mean, it's a tough little one to crack. And I do think Imperial Pass will probably give him a race, but he's just some animal, is this Constitutional. I mean, I think we've also got to get behind him and enjoy the fact that we're lucky enough to have a horse like this, running in our lifetime. Basically, it's not often these sort of horses come along, but it's one of them. Let's just hope that something comes along in the next couple of years that could potentially, take his crown. Obviously, as he gets older, winning a champion hurdle is probably going to get a lot harder. So it's maybe just a case of let's just enjoy him, and hopefully in a couple of years there'll be something to test him. But it's certainly an exciting one for the season and the years to come. Old Constitutional.
No, definitely.
Cannot wait to see him next at 1 to 25 on in a fighting fit.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I think if they are going to stick to hurdles, and they've got to go over to Ireland and take them on and just try and win everything they can with him, because he's good enough. He's still young enough. Might as well do it while he's young rather than when he gets a bit older. So no one to look forward to for sure. A winner for Britain.
Yeah, well, I mentioned the Presby Cup on my last episode, and we're already 1-0 up, so it's a good start. Right, so then that's enough about Constitutional. He mops up everything, he runs in, and that'll be the end of that. So the next one is I have a little problem with my images. I've somehow managed to mess my fonts up. I don't know why, but Gaelic Warrior, I think that says, yes, it does, is the next one on the list now. There's been a lot of talk about this lad. He was going over fences. We're going to stick over hurdles. Obviously, we do now know, apparently, that has been said somewhere by either Patrick or Willie that he's definitely staying over hurdles. So, I mean, I completely missed that news, but that seems to be the way it's going to go. So we're looking at a stayers hurdle for this fella. Now, a lot of people will talk about how he jumps out to his right. Will he go left-handed? He struggles and things like that. You look through his performances last season. Obviously, the right-handed tracks, he was pretty, well in. He won after Cheltenham, went to Punchestown, mopped up that 3-mile race there. That was a brilliant performance. And to his credit, I thought the Ballymore run, you're talking Imperial Pass, is going to be some animal. That's a good landing around there, and he split them too. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think a stayers hurdle could be within his reach, even though at Cheltenham he's not really performed to his full potentially?
Yeah, I really like this lad. I think he's got some engine on him. I know people kind of kick him for his jumping, but I think last season they kind of cracked it a little bit. They kept him in and around horses, so he couldn't jump as far out to his right than he probably had done in the past. But I think if they can keep a lid on him until late on, I just think the engine he's got, I just think the Sane division's so open. There's no real star performer, you'd say, Side of Burley last year, but he's about 9 or 10 now. Four Importers knocking on, Classical Dreams knocking on. All the horses that you would probably say were the stars are now getting to an age now where you probably think, what's coming through next? And I know Tia Hoopu tried it last year. That was probably his best chance, I'd have thought. Again, he's probably going to have another crack at it. But if this guy turns up, I just think with the engine he's got, he'll just keep on going. And I think he could be the next star stayer.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Like you just mentioned there, the likes of Tupu, he's a young horse as well. He could improve, and he's sort of been there and had a crack at it. I think it's an interesting one, Gaelic Warrior. You go through the form, I just had a quick look then, and, the handicap that he won at Leopardstown, he won that quite easy enough, and that was obviously going left-handed, and it didn't seem to bother him too much, although he did run down the last hurdle, but it was clearly better than that lot anyway. And the Punchestown run, he's beat Affordale Fury by 10 lengths. Now, that's some effort. If you watch the race back, he was out the back almost held up like a flat race nearly, where, when you can sort of see a wall of horses and there's a jockey sat in behind still. And Paul Tannen's given him a couple of nudges, and he's gone on and won, pretty easily. I do think he's got an unbelievable engine, and I think 3 miles perfect for him. I think he'll be fine with it. And like you say, if they can sort of put him away within the race and keep something on his right hand side, it probably could help. And then you kind of just pulling him to the front, and then whatever happens to that point. It's similar to the likes of, like, say, Floyd Porter. He's very similar, but the other way around sort of thing. He used to jump violently to his left a couple of times after he went over that last hurdle, and that can undo him sometimes. But I do think he's a classy sort. But, the likes of Tehupu is going to be in there. Irish Points, obviously, now staying over hurdles, but a lot of people are thinking You know, he's probably going to maybe one of them. They'll probably keep them to apart, and one will go Aintree and one will be more for Cheltenham. So it'll be interesting to see which way they go. But I do think he's a real talent, is Gaelic Warrior. And I think, you know, I know Richie always says he wants a Gold Cup horse. You know, Gaelic Warrior could potentially turn into that, but they kind of isn't really in a rush with him. Only being 5-year-old, they could win a Stayers Hurdle and then go chasing as a 6-year-old novice, chasing into then your sort of 7-8-year-olds when you want to be coming into a Gold Cup style time. Almost like a coming of age, you know what I mean?
Thistlecrack had a go at the Stayers, didn't he? He won the Stayers and then moved on over the fences and had a crack at King George and the Gold Cup. So, like you say, he's still young, so potential is definitely there.
Yeah, and it's like anything, you know. We'll see him in a couple of early races. He'll run around the likes of Tremor probably in a couple of, you know, steady hurdle races. He might take on the, you know, I think there's a Champion Stayers Hurdle at Leopardstown. We might take up that at the Dublin Racing Festival potentially. So, well, you know, we'll see what he's about. We'll see what he can do, and we'll see what happens when it comes to Cheltenham. But I think he'll probably mop up in Ireland, as will the likes of, you know, State Man and things like that. They mop up in Ireland, they come over here, and we'll see what he does. But it's an exciting recruit to be keeping it over hurdles. So fingers crossed, we'll see what he does. Right, so we're going to move on now to we're going to put a mare in here. We're going to talk about Ashroad Diamond now. I really like this horse. I think she's a superstar in the making. I think this mare's hurdle, you know, once again everyone talks about the mare's hurdle division, but this once again it looks like a real top race. You know, already, you know, the likes of Ashroad Diamond, Lost in Mouth, we're going to speak about shortly. Love Envoy, obviously there's no honeysuckle this time round, but I do think it looks like a real tasty race, and we'll talk about it a little bit more towards the end. But what are your thoughts on Ashroad Diamond? Do you think, you know, if you look back on the form, she's got some pretty smart form in behind some good geldings. You know, she could be a real player this season.
No, I like her. Like you say, the mare's hurdle, I think, could be some sort of race this year. I know people kind of put it down recently, but, you know, I think with Lossy Mouth, who I'm a big fan of, again, I think she is the one that's going to probably run her close. I think they're probably the two of Willie's best mares that he had last year. So I think he's got a good hand in the mares division this year. So, like I say, she has some good form against the geldings, against the boys. So I think she's dangerous. Yeah. Very interesting one, definitely to look out for.
Yeah, she is, and you know, she had, you know, a good run in the raw. That run in the Raw Bond, I thought she looked like the winner at one point. She come along the outside, traveling like a dream, and I'm thinking, you know, she's gonna go win this. And then obviously the airplane that is Marine Nationale just took over, and she's obviously got a form behind Facile Vega, and every time she's run against them, she's battered them. Basically, the race at Fairyhouse later on in the season was fantastic.
Yeah, it was interesting that he avoided Cheltenham and Punchestown with her. I thought he might.
I think there was she come up with a bit of an issue. I think she picked up a bit of an injury that kept her out of Cheltenham, and I think the likes of Aintree and Punchestown to come a little bit early after that, and they just decided to keep her sweet. And she went for a race at Fairyhouse early April. But I do like her. I think she's going to go real close in the mare's hurdle, and hopefully we'll see a lot of her this season throughout the year, and she won't have any issues. You can put those behind you. I mean, we'll talk about the mares in a bit because I mean I'm sort of swaying to keeping to a one that running it last year that went close. But you know, I mean, I like Brandy Love before, but I think, you know, she's absolutely no chance.
Nutcase
in the mare's hurdle. She's I don't know what happened to her when she beat Love Envoy at that Punchestown race. We're all thinking what a superstar, but I think the issues with her have just played the part too much, to be honest. But yeah. Ashroad Diamond, that form's quite strong. I think if she kicks on this season, she'll be a real player throughout wherever she goes. So fingers crossed she can keep sweet throughout this next coming season. Love it. So we're going to move on to the other mare now I put in the list. And it's obviously Lossy Mouth. Now, Lossy Mouth's one of them where it's such an interesting horse to think about this season. Now, when you get a horse who comes through the Triumph Hurdle route, and winning that, they don't always kick on. You know, look at Vauban. Obviously, he's doing amazing things on the flat, and I really hope he goes and wins that Melbourne Cup. I think that'll be some run to do that after winning. I forgot the race that it won at Ascot, but it's always a tough one when they're coming through that. You know, from Triumph Hurdle to 3-year-old to 4-year-old. It's, you know, they don't always kick on, and people kind of jump on top of them. And she's a favourite for Mare's Hurdle. She's a superstar. Blah blah blah. Then they don't quite reach them heights. So is Lossiemouth the sort of horse you're going to keep on side throughout this season early on, or are you going to take her on early and see how she gets on?
No, I think she is phenomenal. I can't even say it. I think she's cracking. You know, I know people knocked her after she came second to Gala Marceau, but that race, just nothing went right for her. She was following a lead horse that was also in the race and got put all the way back last and still managed to finish second. And then if you just rewatch a Cheltenham run, she's pulling, she just goes like a train, and then as soon as she gets to the front, she just pulls away. And yeah, I think she is going to take some stopping in these mares races. I think Mullins cleans up the division, and yeah, I think she's definitely another one to side with.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had a little bit of a. I mean, obviously she was shuffled back in the Leopardstown run, but she wasn't shuffled too far back in terms of Gala Marceau. I do think Gala Marceau, there'll be a lot of people getting on the back of her this season. I think she's been really keen in a lot of her races, and she's kind of still run quite well. I mean, I do think Lossiemouth does look a special talent, but I'm always cautious with these sort of younger horses coming through into open graded company, even though it is obviously only the mares. But Lossiemouth, she's kind of giving me Benedict vibes. You know, I loved Benedict, and I was absolutely gutted when she got beat by Honeysuckle, when basically the tactics got all mixed up and Benedict was supposed to be on the inside, she was on the outside, and they opened the gap up for, I think it was Robbie Power, opened up the gap for Honeysuckle instead, thinking, where's Benny? She's gone, she's out there.
Yeah.
And obviously she went down on a sword on that one, but obviously Honeysuckle's such a great horse. But I think it's going to be a really good race this season, and obviously we'll watch the mares come out. I mean, I've been quite getting onto the mares throughout this series, to be fair. There's quite a few nice ones coming through. But I think this mares division this season, I think people enjoy the mares. I think it's more people get a bit miffed when, you know, you get the likes of Honeysuckle, Epatant going up against the boys, getting the £7 claim and all that sort of thing. But I think we need the mares division, we need the mares hurdle, we need the mares chase, we need them coming through, because we get some of the best horses, we get to see them all, and that's what we want. So let's hope that Lossiemouth can go on and can improve and can cement herself at the top table this coming season. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Lovely. Right, we're going to move on now to, we're going to talk about State Man. Now, you know, obviously these names are the big names and everyone's going to know these names, and we're not really shining much light on anything new, but I do quite like State Man. I think he's improved throughout his career. You know, he's beats the likes of Sharjah, who obviously made another promising run over fences, the other day. Beat Vauban, beat Honeysuckle, and has only come second to Constitution Hill last season, and then won again at Punchestown. You know, this horse just keeps improving. I do think he's going to go again, win a lot of grade ones over in Ireland, and I do think he's got such strong firepower. He always does. It's incredible, some of the horses that he has coming through. It's just crazy. And the amount that he just keeps them all winning is just fantastic to see. But, you know, he's never going to beat Constitution Hill. So I was kind of surprised when they kept him over hurdles. I thought they may have gone novice chasing with State Man if they were going to keep Imperial Pass. I thought one of them would have gone definitely over fences, but obviously they're going to keep them both over hurdles, with probably the idea of taking up the likes of the Morgiana, the Hatton's Grace, and them sort of, Irish Champion Hurdle, them sort of races. And he's just going to keep winning them. Is it just a case of, he's just going to keep mopping them up with these horses?
Yeah, like you say, if Constitution Hill wasn't around, this guy's probably the winner of the Champion Hurdle. Like you say, I can see him mopping up all the grade ones in Ireland again. It'll be interesting to see if he takes on Impair Pass in is it the Matheson in December? I know last season Willie kind of threw everybody against each other in that, and it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top if that does happen. But like you say, he's the star over there in Ireland. He's just not as good as Constitution Hill, unfortunately. So, like I say, he's not a bad horse. He'll win his races, but when it comes up against Con Hill, I think second place is all he's going to get again.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like I say, he's a really good horse, and like I say, he'd have been unbeaten last season. Champion Hurdle winner, we'd all been saying, what a horse, unbelievable. He's beaten everything easy. We'd have been talking about State Man, how we are probably talking about Constitution Hill, to be fair, if he wasn't here. So he's a fantastic horse. He's only 6-year-old. He's got plenty of time on his hands. And I do think he'll keep them apart as much as possible, but we might see them against each other. We shall see. But, he's going to have another crack and fair play. And let's just see how he gets on, I suppose. Fantastic. Right, so I'm going to talk about a couple more now. And then we'll have a little chat about the main races at Cheltenham. So the next one I'm going to mention is Gala Marcel. Now, she obviously comes in here with a big reputation behind the likes of Lossiemouth and things like that. But I do think there's a lot of improvement in this mare for Kelly Alexander. Sorry, was it? Yeah, I forgot his name now. Kenneth Alexander. The Honeysuckle Colours, I think the way she raced throughout last season, she just raced a little bit too keen. She did a little bit too much too early. I think if she can sort of, mature a little bit from last season, I do think she'll go well this season. And I do think she can definitely give the likes of Lossiemouth, Astro Diamond something to think about come the Mares Hurdle, even though we'll talk about the Cheltenham Antipost show later, but she actually won't be my pick in the Mares Hurdle, but I do think she'll go quite close. What are your thoughts on her for this season, mate?
I think she's talented, like you say. She will need to improve. I mean, for me, if you're putting up against Lossiemouth, she doesn't come anywhere near. I mean, she had quite a few attempts last season. She beat her once, but like you say, Lossiemouth had her excuses and then beat her twice afterwards. So I think she's probably, in the Mullins string, she's probably third best. He's got Lossiemouth, he's got Astro Diamond, and then Gala Marceau. So, like I say, he's not short of firepower, but I think out of the three, she's probably the third best out of them. But I could be wrong. She could improve and beat them all. But, for me, Lossiemouth is a star performer for by Ashrow, and then this girl, Gala Marceau.
Yeah, it's mad that Willie has trains all three of these, and it's just you're thinking, how lucky can you get? But she went on, in May, she went over to France and won a race with Zarak the Brave was in there. I know Zarak's come back and obviously franked that form in a way at Galway, although he did seem to have an issue last time out. But I think she's got a good chance of going close. I think she'll do well. She'll win a couple of races, I think, and then she'll have another crack at the usual lot. And I think she's definitely one to keep on side. And I do think she'll improve. Whether she'll improve past Lossiemouth, we don't know. But again, from 3 to 4, anything can sort of happen. Similar like when you look at the flat and you get these young 2-year-olds or whatever that can improve so much over the summer. So I definitely think Gala Marcial is definitely one to keep on side. Right, so the last one we're going to speak about then is going to be the one and only Teahupoo. Now, obviously, we spoke a little bit earlier about Gaelic Warrior in the Stayers Hurdle. This guy's obviously definitely going to go back for another crack. I know they were quite unlucky. Third in behind Cider Burley, the infamous Cider Burley, who's gone and won another Stayers Hurdle. I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it, to be fair. And fair play to Gordon Elliott for getting that one back, ready to win another one. But Teahupoo obviously lowered the colours of the one and only Honeysuckle, and we're all a bit gutted when he did. But he does look an improving type, and he went to Gowran and won over 3 miles and looked really, really comfortable at that distance. That was in a bit of soft, heavy ground as well. So, although he was beaten at Punchestown at the end of the season, but again, like I've said throughout the whole series, really, I put a line through sort of Aintree and Punchestown because I don't think you can really take that form with too much behind it, really, because I think when they've run at Cheltenham, or they've run really well at everything's focused on Cheltenham, really, for some of these horses. But then to go and back it up at those later meetings can always be quite tough. So, do you think he can improve as a 5-year-old? Well, he's 6-year-old now. Sorry, is it going to improve from 5 to 6 and go one better at the Stayers Hurdle if Gaelic Warrior is going to be in there? You've muted yourself, Rich.
Sorry, my bad. I mean, he's got to, Anthony, but, I think just last year was his chance. Like you say, the Stayers division, all its stars are aging and they're falling away. And I just thought this guy was the up-and-coming next one. Like you say, coming to 6, he's still got time, still got a chance to show us. But I don't know, I just think he's maybe ground dependent. Like, he needs soft, heavy ground. I know Cheltenham was soft, but maybe it wasn't soft enough for him. He does look an out-and-out sort of stayer, and maybe it just wasn't soft enough for him. But, he's got a chance. But I just like Gaelic. Well, I just think the engine between the two of them, I just think Gaelic could just keep without staying. But like you say, if it was heavy ground next March and in the stays, he definitely would be a player for me.
Yeah, like you say, I mean, I won't say it's too ground dependent, but I do think if it comes up on the soft side, it's definitely a sort of race. I do think he has an engine for it, and I do think he can go close. I do think it would be between him and Gaelic Warrior. And I like Irish Point, but everyone's sort of saying he's going to stick to Aintree. But I think Teahupoo is one of them. Say again.
Irish Point and Teahupoo, are they the same owners?
They are the same owners, yeah. So that's why we're all sort of thinking, well, surely they're going to keep them apart. But we'll speak about that shortly in a minute when we talk about the stays. But I think in terms of Teahupoo, we might see him in the Hans Grace again potentially. Obviously, he won that last time, and then he might just do the same sort of route, go for the 3-mile race that he won at Goran, and then have a crack at other stayers. And I think like you say, there's a lot of aging horses in there, and a lot of you could probably write off. And it's got to go to a younger horse now, surely, coming through a little bit of a change of the guard. Surely we can't have Cider Burley coming back and win again, can we?
About 15 now, isn't he?
Something like that, yeah. But no, I think Teahupoo is going to have a good crack this season, and looking forward to him kicking on and seeing if he can improve past where he finished last time. Lovely, right? So we're going to have a little quick talk about each of the main races now, and then we'll finish with we've got a horse each that we're going to follow this season, and we'll put that forward, and you can put them in the trackers, and we'll go from there. I'm just going to have a quick look at the main races now. Obviously, the Champion Hurdle. You go through the market, and it's kind of a nothing market, really. Constitution Hill is currently 1-2, which I think is probably quite short. Pretty passing there. State Man, You Wear It Well's in there. Marine National's going to go chasing. Vauban's probably not going to go there. He might do, coming back off the flat potentially. Lossiemouth's an interesting one. Could Willie, if Ashro Diamond and them sort of horses run really well and Lossiemouth looks exceptional, could they go for a Champion Hurdle with the weight concession? That could be an interesting one. Not sure whether you want to do that with Imperial Pass and State Man in there, but you never know. In the pocket, I think it's probably going to go chasing or wherever. And I could go through the rest of them, but there's just no need, really. I mean, it's one of them. It's a lot of the Cheltenham previews will be kicking off and things like that, and you can't really talk about the Champion Hurdle because it's just a procession, isn't it, really? You got any last thoughts on it?
Not really. Like you say, it's Conhill's to lose. Hopefully he gets there safe and sound, and you can do the business. Like you say, you probably got a forecast there that you put up Conhill, Imperial Pass, State Man, probably could be the top 3. So, Willie's probably going to get the places, and Conhill's just going to win by whatever he likes.
Yeah, I completely agree. Won't waste any more time on that. What I will talk about next is the Mares Hurdle. Now, this is really going to be an exciting race. Now, obviously, we're going to have a Cheltenham Anti-Post show running throughout the season, so I'll mention that towards the end. But just as a quick first glance, you're looking at Lossiemouth, Ashro Diamond, Gallimar, Soleil, Cousin, Rain, Love Envoy. You got Zenta and Lucia in there. Maria's Rock probably go for the stayers, which we didn't mention earlier. But we've got another horse in there that I won't mention because you're going to mention it shortly. That's actually an 8-20-1. You Wear It Well, Magical Zoe, and so on and so on. Now, I mean, obviously, the colours, the silks that I've put up there on the screen is the horse that I think is really overpriced in this. So he's still getting 12-1, and Love Envoy, come second in it last year, only just denied by Honeysuckle. But she's beat the rest by a pretty decent way, and I thought, coming back again this season, a lot of people talk about how she might want it really soft or heavy and that sort of thing. Don't get me wrong, she loves the soft, heavy ground. She got it at Sandown in them couple of runs she did where she won up in them handicaps, and then she come into it. But we have seen quite often that it's not necessarily good ground. It's normally pretty, soft ground when it comes round to Cheltenham. We just don't know what you're going to get. But I'd fancy her at 12-1 if it comes up anywhere near soft to beat some of these younger horses coming through. She's got the experience. She could go one better. What are your sort of early, quick view on the Mares Hurdle then?
I think it's very competitive. I think it's very competitive. I think. Last year it was a cracking race to watch, and I think it's going to be a cracking race to watch again. I'm all over Lossiemouth. I think I just think she's got a cracking engine. The way she won the Triumph, I was blown away. I thought it was very impressive. The only downside, like you said, I think the Triumph Hurdle is I don't think they have a great record. I'd have to double check that, but I just think the way she won. I mean, she raced freely and still managed to win by over 2.5 lengths, I think, maybe in 3 lengths. But it's going to be some sort of cracking race because Ashford Diving again is no slouch. Gala Marceau, like you say, could improve. And loving Void to run Honeysuckle close last year, I thought was a good performance on that sort of ground. So it's going to be a cracking race.
Yeah, I mean, I quickly mentioned there. You talk about when I talk about Triumph Hurdle winners coming into the new season, not doing very well. I'll quickly, you got Lossiemouth, you got Vauban, who didn't really perform in his second season, although he is performing on the flat. Different kettle of fish. He's been unbelievable on the flat, but he didn't really perform. He didn't win anything really after he come back over hurdles. Qualixios was another one who looked really good, and I think he did okay in his second season, but I wouldn't say pulled up many stumps. And then you look at sort of Burning Victory, Pentland Hills. We're talking about these horses where, I mean, obviously Goshen would have won, but he never did anything really after, although he has done a few later on. But it's that second season, they never seem to really perform too well. And you could sort of go on, even though we do go a little bit further back, like Tiger Ola, who's won it, obviously. Definitely decided quite well once he went chasing as well. I actually backed Definitely Decide in the Champion Chase where he bombed out, and I think it was Politolog that won it when we were supposed to have this amazing clash of horses. I forgot which horses it were now, but a lot of them dropped out due to injury, and it just was Politologs to win easy, I think. But it's an interesting one. But the Mares Hurdle looks really competitive. I'm really looking forward to the Mares division all round, and the Mares Novice Hurdle as well. Looks like a good division this year. So I'm really excited to get stuck into it, really. And so the last one we're going to talk about is, before we give our last 2 horses to follow, is the Stayers Hurdle. Obviously, we've glanced over it earlier on. Gaelic Warriors obviously now in favourite. Still 5-1 thereabouts for some firms. Imperial Pass is still in there. Vauban's still in there in this market for some reason. Tehupu, Maria's Rock could go close. She looked quite well at. She nearly won well at Aintree, didn't she? So she could have another crack at 3 miles. Classical Dream could come back. And then you're kind of getting into the likes of Corbett's Cross, Stay Away Fair, but I think they're probably going to go chasing. So it's one of them where, on first glance, it does look quite weak, because then, like you said previously, you're talking about these older horses. And, I mean, I think, on first view, it's got to be Tehupu or Gaelic Warrior, surely.
Yeah, like you say, I've already mentioned I like Gaelic Warrior, and I thought Tehupu's chance was probably the race just gone. But apart from that, it's a very poor division. Marie's Rock did run well when she ran over 3 miles. Is she maybe ground dependent? If it went too soft, would she have the stamina for it? Again, it'd be a question mark. I looked into the Classical Dream when he won. Was it Punchestown he won?
Yeah.
I thought maybe Asteria Phalange could be potentially an outsider for this, maybe.
Not the Enigma, that is.
The Enigma. I mean, he's 30. I think he's 33s for this, but he ran Classical Dream Close, who on his day is very, very talented, but he's had his issues. But he's no mug, and I think he probably should have been winning a Stayers Classical Dream, but apart from his injuries and stuff. So yeah, I potentially thought that could be an outside shot, but Gaelic Warrior for me is just a machine. He just keeps on running.
Yeah, I mean, Asterion Phalange is a little bit of an enigma. I mean, there was a race, it was a chase. I can't. My memory goes sometimes, but he looked like he was cancering all over him, and I think he just tipped up at the last again. So many issues with his jumping, it's crazy. But if they ever got him right, he's got the engine there, but maybe it's just a little bit too little, too late. But Classical Dream's an interesting one. I'm not sure if fully stays the Cheltenham Stayers Hurdle trip personally. I know maybe got a little bit unlucky that time when I can't remember who won it now. My memory's gone, but yeah, I just think it's going to be a young up and coming horse now. I think these, the likes of Gaelic Warrior and Tehupu, they've got the class about them, they've got the ability, they've got the potential to go at each other all season and then come out about in the Stayers Hurdle, and one of them's probably going to take it. I don't think either one of these that does take it. I'd be surprised if it isn't, but when we get stuck into the Cheltenham Anti-Post show, we'll be able to look into it in more depth and see what we really think as the season goes on, because we know how many surprises that Cheltenham just seem to throw up. But hopefully we'll get to see them all these horses a lot more as the season progresses. Obviously, there's a lot of big days in between now and Cheltenham, and we can't wait to enjoy them all. Right, so the last little bit we're going to do then, we're going to talk through one horse each that we think is going to be a decent hurdler for this season to come, one to follow, whether it be handicapper or whatever. Rich, yours. Now, please excuse my image on this. The word for some reason hasn't worked. But if you've got your binoculars on, that says Katira.
I think we'll go with that. Katira.
So take it away, Rich. This is your horse to follow for this upcoming hurdle season.
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult because, like you say, we've mentioned a lot of horses. And, I kind of cost this one for Dan Skelton. I just thought she won quite well and kind of impressed me to split horses like Irish Point and Hermes Allen at Aintree. That was over a novice hurdle, 2 mile 4. You Wear It Well was back in 5th in that race, who then won the mares at Cheltenham the time before that. So, I think it's got some substance to it. So I just think the way she managed to finish the race out, she was held up and then started making headway throughout and had to weave in between horses and then was staying on well at the line. So it was some effort against the boys. And I just think she's one to watch this year for the Skeltons. I think potentially she could be a bit of a dark horse. She's like 20-1 for the mares, I think. If they go down that route, I'm not 100% sure she will, but if she kind of wins the races this year, I don't see why they wouldn't go for it. Potentially could be aimed for a listed mares at Wetherby. I think that's probably going to be next month when that happens. There's also a race at Warwick, again, another listed contest in February, which could be a target. And if she comes through all those, then all those lead to Cheltenham, and she won't be 20-1 if she wins a couple of races, that's for sure. So I think she's one to watch.
Fantastic, mate. No, I like it. We're going to add that to the tracker, and we'll keep a beady eye on when she's going to make her reappearance, hopefully soon. Well, the horse I'm going to talk about is actually in the same race that you just mentioned there, where she split Irish Point and Hermes Allen. And the horse I'm going to talk about is Springwell Bay. If you can see that, get your glasses on. But yeah, Springwell Bay. I really like this horse. I think he's got a big handicap putting him somewhere on the line. I mean, they might go chasing maybe, but I do think if they stay over hurdles, I think there's a handicap hurdle in this horse somewhere. It's currently off a mark of 137, and I just thought, if the horse needs a step up in trip. I think you're looking at a 3 mile handicap somewhere, where I think this one's going to pop up. I thought that race that you're speaking about at Aintree, I thought it looked a little bit outpaced. He weren't disgraced in the race. He stayed on. Obviously, beating 17 lengths or whatever it was, but he's not been disgraced. He won a race, a couple of races previous to that, and I just really like the horse, and I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on. He might win a couple of low level sort of easy races, jog around sort of things, but then he'll pop up in one of those big handicaps over 3 mile. So I think Springwell Bay is going to be one that I'm going to keep on side this season. For John Joe O'Neill, fingers crossed. Fantastic. Right, that is a wrap for episode 7. So thank you, Rich, for joining me on today's episode.
Yeah, no problem.
It's been really nice just to sit and chat about some of the big names coming up for this the hurdle season. It's going to be exciting to see them all. Hopefully we'll get some big clashes throughout the season as we go. And fingers crossed we can see where they all end up. And hopefully they all battle each other throughout the season, and there's some big, big races to come. So next week, it all kicks off. We're going to have next Thursday night at 7 o'clock. We are going to be live with our big jump season kickoff podcast, Chepstow. I mean, obviously, you do have Punchestown earlier in the week, but we're going to kick off with Chepstow. We love it here in the UK. £400,000 worth of prize money up for grabs. There's some nice horses always out. The Persian War is always a good race, and there's a couple of nice races in there. There's a fantastic veterans handicap that I like to watch. A veterans handicap chase. It's always a decent race to watch. And we're just going to get stuck into it, Rich. You know what I mean? We've got so much planned. I'm going to do a big announcement probably tomorrow about our sort of format. We're going to have a couple of shows a week to put out there, and we just can't wait, really. So, I as a final word, are you excited, Rich? I know you're big on the flat, but are you finally excited for the jumps? Come on!
I am. You are converted me. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into the jumps now. Like I say, I've always followed the flat, and jumps has kind of been the second best. But potentially there's a chance it could become a favourite subject. You never know.
Fantastic. Well, like I say, we have loads of shows on the podcast. We've got a weekly preview show. We've got sort of a talking point / Cheltenham Antipost show we're going to do. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitter. My Twitter's below. We'll post all those Twitters are in the bio. So make sure you follow us all on them. There's my Patreon on there as well. So get yourself in that if you love the jumps. Loads of content to come. This has been Jumpers to Follow, episode 7. We'll see you next week for the next one. Thank you and goodbye. Like and subscribe. See you next time.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.